Okay, welcome to the Confident Decision Making Masterclass with me, Gemma Gilmore. So I'm going to try and squeeze this into an hour. And in this small amount of time that we have together, I want to cover a few things. So I really want to talk about having confidence over uncertainty. So really sort of getting rid of that self-doubt and that feeling of uncertainty and stepping into confidence. Clarity where there was once confusion. We often don't make decisions because we are stuck in confusion, a really common escape state. And so we want clarity instead. And to unlock within you the true potential that you have to make your impact in the world. So I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but I genuinely believe we are all here with a secret sauce. And typically, I think, well, for me, maybe it's a personal belief, but I feel like as a service provider, we have an obligation to put ourselves out there so that we can help the people who need our help. So really making a big impact. And then at the end of the masterclass, I'm going to share a little bit more information about how we can work together. Okay, if you've been to any of my masterclasses before, you'll recognize this photo. It's my claim to fame, but I love this. If you've not heard of Denise Duffield Thomas, by the way, go out and buy her book. I don't get paid commission for that, but she has a fantastic collection of books. My favorite one being Chill and Prosper. I think that's her most recent one. Really easy to read. She's a money mindset coach, millionaire, Australian, mum of 3 kids with ADHD. And her writing is so easy to consume and it's just really valuable. And she's got a great sense of humor. But I met her in London at the Expert Empires conference last year. And she was just an absolute delight. She was the keynote speaker and she was gorgeous and funny. And she was happy to take selfies with everybody, even though I stepped on her toe as I was trying to get out of my chair to stand up. She was very kind about that as well. But she has this great little quote here, which I wanted to share. And that is, you have to decide now that you are enough. You are smart enough, pretty enough, clever enough, ready enough. You can be richer starting today if you're brave enough to define exactly what you want. And so the reason I love this little quote so much is because it really hones in on this theme of today's masterclass, which is about making a decision, an empowered decision that you are enough, that you're clever enough, that you're worthy enough. It all comes back to that moment in time when you decide. So I love that quote. Yes, you have to decide. Okay, a quick little backstory about me. I was a behavior analyst for between 15 and 20 years, something like that. And I served autistic children. So here's me in my little therapy room working with a little boy, little Oliver, and his mum. And I was really passionate about helping these children learn how to communicate, how to socialize, how to get dressed, how to use the toilet, all the things. I had a really successful established business with a little team of other behavior analysts. And it got to the point where when I had my children, I was really aware that I was trading time for money. And so I wanted to still serve my community and my clients, but in a way that I could be more present for my children. These guys came along in quick succession. They look very different now. In fact, my eldest is just off to high school for his little taster day today, and it was quite a shock to see him in a shirt and tie. But yeah, so when I had my kids, I was very aware of the fact that being with an autistic child all day is exhausting in and of itself. But to sort of really live my dream of scaling a business, it had to be online. It had to be one to many rather than one to one. And so I started getting more involved. I started sort of doing less of the in-person work and moving more online. And I had my eyes opened massively when I started moving online. I had an amazing course, which was for parents of autistic children. But I learned very quickly that it doesn't matter how incredible your course is, It will not sell unless you have an online presence and you have a voice and you have a social media presence and you're visible and you have an audience. So yeah, it became quite apparent to me quite quickly that I was going to need to learn a whole lot of other tools in marketing and selling and promoting myself. And that was very uncomfortable to me because I really identified with being a clinician, a practitioner, very hands-on. The whole like relentless self-promotion of what I thought it would, what I thought it felt like, did not sit well with me at all. I was not a fan of that. I felt like selling was icky. I had resistance to it. I didn't want to be visible online. I didn't want to be showcasing my talents or my experience or my credibility, my authority. Not, I just didn't want anything to do with any of it. Um, and then lockdown happened. And I think like the rest of the world, I just took a step back and realized that I was actually feeling quite down, actually, like really frustrated. Everything was good on paper, loving husband, great house, great three healthy children, an established business. But I was like, there's something I couldn't quite put my finger on that was missing. Um, this is how I felt, just overwhelmed with frustration. Like I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to get in my online business. I was exhausted by sort of showing up. I had Facebook fatigue. I had trying to do everything that I was taught. I just threw money at business coaches, marketing courses. I wasn't where I expected to be. I was fed up and I was deflated. Um, and I was in quite a bit of debt, having spent all of this money on the way to make a business, the business blueprints, all these strategies. I'm an action taker. And so I just totally looked outside of myself to find that elusive missing piece of the puzzle that didn't exist, turns out. So yeah, somebody had suggested I hire a mindset coach, and I'd never even done journaling. I'd never sort of even thought about mindset. I had literally zero awareness about my thoughts and feelings, other than that I was feeling pretty rubbish at this time, and I couldn't quite figure out why. Um, and I was kind of really skeptical, very resistant to hiring a mindset coach, especially somebody online who I didn't know was the other side of the world. However, those 12 weeks of one-to-one coaching literally did change my life. Um, and I was so inspired by the progress I made working with this woman, that I decided that I would pivot my career and really sort of start working with other women who felt like me, who, have all the qualifications, all the certificates, still didn't quite feel they were good enough. Women who were action takers, very ambitious, impact driven, purpose driven, but still didn't quite weren't quite getting the results that they really dreamed about. And so this is Wonder Woman over here. But when I did this inner work in terms of how I could shift out of my past identity into a new identity, this image popped up and I was like, this is it. I want to look like her. I want to feel and be like Wonder Woman. I want to be an inspiration to other women about what's possible for them without beyond all the societal conditioning and limiting beliefs that I had uncovered at the time. And so, yeah, I decided to hand over my amazing business. Thankfully, one of my subcontractors took on my autism business. It's still going strong. And I set myself up as a mindset coach, transformation coach. I keep changing my mind about what I'm going to call myself. But yeah, that was my story. And this was the main thought behind it. How can I help other ambitious, impact-driven businesswomen like I considered myself to grow a business they love, to create a life they love, but without working harder and longer hours? So I really set myself, I want to add that last piece. It's not just about creating a business. It's not just about creating wealth, success, status, whatever it is. For me, it was about impact and financial freedom. to create a life I love so I could take my family on incredible adventures, buy a gorgeous house, but I wasn't prepared to work any longer hours or work harder. And really to have my values at the forefront of my mind when I was building this new business of impact, freedom, and family. Yeah. And then the second thought was, how can I help women take a leap into the best version of themselves? Sounds a bit cheesy, I know, but I feel like a lot of us women genuinely like hold ourselves back. We're not fully giving ourselves permission to really shine our lights brightly because of all the past experiences that we've had in our life and because of societal conditioning, ancestral trauma, all of the things. So yeah, I just had this vision quite quickly, actually. It came to me like from going from one moment of, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? If I'm not a behavior analyst, then who am I? To very, very quickly having a very clear vision about what I wanted to create in terms of my business and the impact I wanted to have on the world and who I wanted to serve. So this was the thought. Imagine what kind of impact I could create if I could guide, typo there, that's annoying. If I could guide women through a deeply transformational step-by-step program. So as a Virgo, I like a step-by-step approach. And as a behavior analyst, I'm quite procedural. Um, but that really focused on building this unshakable, unwavering trust in themselves, in other people, this confidence, that this elusive confidence we're always trying to get, optimism rather than taking things personally and making things, permanent and pervasive with this pessimistic lens. And resilience, that bounce back ability that if things don't go our way, we brush ourselves up and we try again, because that is essential to have as an entrepreneur. And nobody talks about that so much. So, being very aware that throwing money at business coaches and marketing courses was one of my classic escape behaviors, I did a lot of research on just one more course. Having a master's degree in applied behavior analysis, my training was very much on measuring observable behavior, not so much on your thoughts, feelings, belief systems, emotions that you couldn't really see. So I have a lovely mentor, Femke Mortimer, who runs the Quantum Leap Coach Academy, and I was trained by her. So literally, this is me in my third year of business now in this business. But in the 2 years that I've been running this business, it's been quite a roller coaster, very different from my experience of my previous business, where I really came at things from a very masculine hustle energy. I intentionally built this business, like really from a state of ease and flow. That's what I wanted to tap into, a lot more of my feminine energy, and to invest the time to relax into a state of trust before I took any action at all, whether that's sending an email or social media post. And it's been quite phenomenal, actually, the progress and the rate of growth that I've had with surrendering. Basically, that is the best word to put it, because whenever we're in hustle energy or perfectionism or anything like that, ultimately what we're trying to do is cling on to feeling like we're in control. And it's, for me, it's taken a lot of time to really practice letting go and just allowing whatever to unfold rather than trying to force the outcome. So I've delivered multiple in-person events, multiple online guest speaking appearances, pretty much had a full one-to-one caseload. I only take on a very small number of one-to-one clients. I've established a group program, a mastermind as well. But the most important thing is I just absolutely love what I do. I feel like it's a privilege to show up and for women to really place their trust in me so that I can work with them. So I've really found my passion again, which is for me really important. And of course, the best bits are the testimonials, right? It honestly blows my mind that the kind of shift that my clients get by the time that we've finished working together and the results that they've had. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently in terms of tangible versus intangible results, because a lot of my sort of results or my ladies' results that they get from working with me are intangible. things that we can't really measure that easily, like, this sense of worthiness that comes up a lot, like feeling like I deserve this type of thing. But also then the intangible results that come from that. So when you show up feeling worthy and confident and empowered, you take a very different kind of action to then get the results of money flowing into you effortlessly and easily, or that's sometimes what it feels like. So yeah, that's the lovely Abby. She had a good experience, and I love this one from TJ, especially the last piece. I highly recommend working with Gemma if you're feeling stuck in life and need help moving forward. Banter is always spot on. The reason I really like that is because having worked with autistic children for so long, I can basically build rapport with a brick wall. So I'm very personal, but with this type of work, you're really opening a can of worms and opening Pandora's box, and it can feel really uncomfortable. And I think as a coach, you have to come at that in two ways, like with compassion and understanding, but as often as possible, I like to bring humor to it because I think that really helps just make it a lot more human, the whole experience, because bless our little hearts, we're all these little humans on this planet spinning, on its axis in space, and like nobody really understands why we're here, right? But we can often get so absorbed in our little bubble that it's good to bring a bit of humor. So let's get on with the presentation. Here's the hard truth, ladies. Most of us, not you, but most of us aren't getting the results that we want, not because your strategies are wrong. Usually, right? It's not because your strategies are wrong. It's not because you aren't good at what you do. And that is often the mistake my clients do. They attach a meaning to an outcome and make it about themselves. So, for example, oh, I only got 3 people sign up to my masterclass. That must mean I'm not good enough, that kind of thing. It's not about any of that stuff. It's because you aren't making enough decisions ahead of time. Okay. So this will hopefully become clearer in the next few slides. Here's one of the things, or probably the one thing I want you to understand. You need to transcend your idea of who you are, so the identity that you've lived with up until now, and what you assumed is possible for you based on your history and what society has taught you. And this is something I've really played with in the last few years in terms of like, who am I? What has my past shaped me and molded me into in terms of my beliefs, my personality, and what I think is possible for me. And I realized very quickly that I had quite small expectations of myself, even though I've always had this kind of inner flame that I want to be somebody who can really create a lot of impact. I was definitely playing small based on what I thought my identity was. So here's a quick question for you. Like, why is making decisions so important? Why is this topic so important? Well, first of all, confusion kills conversion. Okay. When you are stuck in a state of flux and you feel confused, you're not going to make any results because you're just humming and haying, like can't decide what to do. Do this or do I do that? So there's no results being going to end up when you're in a state of confusion. You're not going to get anywhere. Not making decisions only extends your discomfort. Okay, so when you're not making decisions and you're staying in a state of confusion and I don't know-ness, that's an uncomfortable place to be. When you lack clarity and you're in confusion, it just extends the discomfort of not making decisions, extends that discomfort. And I've worked with business owners who are just starting from scratch, and I've worked with very, very successful business owners making a lot of money. And something I noticed probably in the last 18 months, the most successful business people make fast decisions every day. That is genuinely a pattern that I've seen. They just have this skill. It looks like a talent. They're able to make clean, fast decisions, quite big decisions all the time, like a lot. Here's some bigger questions for you. What would you do if you couldn't fail? If your success was guaranteed, what would you do? Now, I love this question because it really allows you to think bigger. Like, what would I do if my success was guaranteed? That was off the table. You were absolutely going to get what you want. What would you like to do? And then this question, what decision, if you made it right now, would change your life? Have a little think about those questions. They're so good. Here's an even bigger question. What's holding you back from making that decision? So the previous one, the one where like what decision would change your life? What's holding you back from making that decision? I guarantee it will be something around fear. What if it doesn't work? What if I waste my time, my money, my energy? What if? It'll be all the what ifs. And then I love this question as well. What decision is your future self urging you to make? So I love talking to my future self. I know that sounds a bit bonkers, but if you can imagine your future self, the you has already attained your big desired goal, and you can like talk to her and speak to her and ask her what strategies did you use? What did you think? What did you feel? What decision is your future self urging you to make? Okay, let me know if any of these things sound familiar. So here's some patterns I've noticed with the women I've worked with. You stop and start things a lot. Never completing projects. You're like, oh, that's a good idea. Start that. Oh, but that's a good idea. Start, and you're like a bouncy ball going off in all directions. How about this? You have noticed that you're kind of holding yourself back by self-sabotaging. So the three main forms of self-sabotage that I see is procrastinating, overperforming, and perfectionism. They're the sort of big three. And this one, you quietly quit on your goals. Have you ever done that before? So you have a goal, and then you might, do a little bit of work on it, but you don't do enough consistent work or, make needle moving decisions or take big enough actions, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, well, it's fine. We'll just move on to the next one. And you just kind of quietly quit on your goals. So I want you to know that these are all habits of the primitive brain. Okay, this is you playing small. If you can resonate with any of that, this is your red flag that you are playing small. And it's just your beautiful brain doing its job in a way that doesn't really help you. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about self-sabotage. So, yeah, self-sabotage, this perfectionism, procrastination, overperforming, it is the way you are reacting to your emotions. Okay, so you choose the way you feel, even though most of us don't think like that. Most of us are just reacting on default. But in actual fact, you are choosing the way you feel. Therefore, you are responsible for your self-sabotage. Now, that can be a really hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. Like, what? Oh, it's not my fault I'm doing this. It's just I'm trying to, survive, or, I've got three kids, or da da da. But if you cannot take radical responsibility for the way you think, feel, and behave, change is impossible. Okay, so that's why I put that in here. It's so important that you feel a level of responsibility, or what I call ownership, over your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Okay, that is absolutely paramount. So, yeah, say that again. The way you think creates the way that you feel. You have a thought, it fires an emotion, which leads you to your self-sabotage. So I call self-sabotage escape behavior, because that is what it is. And I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. But all I want you to realize is, I have a thought, which is simply a sentence in your head that your brain is offering you. That fires a feeling, an emotional, sorry, a chemical vibration in your body. And from that feeling, we then take action, or inaction, or react. So it's thoughts, feelings, actions, results. The results is the end line. Okay, so the results is what you create from the actions that you take or don't take. Okay, so if you are unhappy with anything in your life that you've created, any result, you need to go back a step and change your thoughts. Change your thoughts, change your feelings, change your actions. Okay, so what was I talking about earlier in terms of escape behaviors? I've made a little list here because I started seeing the same types of escape behaviors with my clients. So typically when women come to me, they're like, I know I'm holding myself back. I can't quite put my finger on it. Can we research it and figure it out? And I'm like, yeah, of course. So like, here's the main ones I see. Do you recognize any of them in yourself? So binge watching Netflix. It's okay if you're binging Bridgerton because I am too right now. Napping. One of my ladies in my group course, she was like, "Oh my God, that's me. I just nap all the time because I'm so tired." But tiredness and exhaustion can also be an escape state as well. Cleaning. You'd rather clean the whole house than show up on social media. Procrastinating, hustle mode. So that was my big one. Just work harder and then it'll all work out and I'll get the success I want. Overanalyzing. I've got a client stuck in that right now. She just wants to overanalyze everything, which is very similar to the next one, trying to figure out the how. So you're in your head trying to think your way out of it. Working really hard. I'd say pretty much all my clients, including myself, have this one because of societal conditioning. You can't have the success you want, the business you want, the career you want without working hard, and you have to sacrifice. Not true, by the way. Blaming others, another escape behavior. Victim mode, like going into that pity party of poor me, this always happens to me, I'm always going to be this way. Overcomplicating things, that's another one. Healing mode. Again, one of my group ladies recently said, I think I'm escaping by being in healing mode. I'm just reading self-help books and listening to podcasts all day and every day. Spiritual practices, just one more meditation and then I'll be fine. Quick decision making, that was me as well, actually. I would hum and hey for ages, be on the fence, and then just get really impulsive because I got bored of being in a state of confusion. Ruminating and worrying. So these are your not so greatest hits over here. Yeah, let me know if you resonate with any of them. Normally, we all can tick at least one or two, even some more in some cases. So, what about these? These are your escape states. These are the emotions that you are that send you into those escape behaviors. Okay, so when we feel anxiety, fear, overwhelm, any of these types of emotions, that your central nervous system basically goes, come on, let's do something about this. This is not comfortable. And then we engage in those escape behaviors. So these are the most common escape states that my ladies come to me with. Um, Overwhelm's a big one. Confusion, frustration is a big one where they're not getting the results that they want in the time they expect to get them. And so they feel frustrated, they go into skepticism and self-doubt. Um, Lack of motivation and tiredness can come up. Resistance, skeptical, serious as well. And so when this is the thing, like when we're in these escape states, this is typically when we're then taking action. But what kind of decisions do you think you'll make from these kinds of states? Because I think we can be honest, they're not clean states, right? They're kind of yucky states to be in. And so it's from these types of states that you'll make decisions like, spending tons of money on a business coach or an online marketing course, or spending tons of money on Facebook ads or something like that. Especially if you're in desperation and frustration. Okay, so because that's a classic escape. You just fix it for me over there. You over there, you get me out of this state, this pain that I'm in right now. So be really aware of that. Whenever you're making a big decision, notice what state you are in and just do a bit of quality controlling around it. Okay, so yeah, we engage in escape behaviors to avoid our escape states. So I don't want to feel this level of overwhelm, so I'm just going to binge on Netflix instead. Or I don't want to feel this level of frustration, so I'm going to go into hustle mode and I'm going to do every action I can find and plaster posts all over social media and check my notifications on Facebook and my emails, and you just constantly like checking if I had an inquiry or something like that. So this escape loop, I kind of call it, because it is like a loop. You end up, when you're in your escape state and escape behaviors, the end result is typically exhaustion, dejectedness, deflatedness, sense of feeling trapped as well comes up quite a lot. And you're in that really yucky end state for a little bit. And then you pick yourself back up again. Maybe it's the beginning of a new week or the new month. And you're like, right, okay, this week's going to be different. And you go back to the beginning of the loop. So this escape loop happens because we're all doing our very best to feel like we're in control. This is what I've really come to notice in the last probably about 5 or 6 months, is that when you boil it all down and you get to the nuts and bolts of it, it's actually like we're all desperately trying to feel like we are in control. We don't like feeling all of these feelings. We want to feel like we're in control because that gives us a false sense of safety. So that's the work, is actually allowing yourself to feel out of control, powerlessness, the unknown. So I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows when we're working as entrepreneurs, like how this business is going to unfold. The problem is most of us don't like to be in that unknown, powerlessness, out of control. And so we jump into the escape states instead, because then our central nervous system kicks in and we take action or inaction. So it comes back to control. So how do we break free from this loop? Okay, step one, being in a mindset of choice. Often I speak to my clients and like, I just feel trapped. I just feel so trapped. I'm like, we have to shift you into a mindset of choice. You simply make the choice to feel differently, knowing that you will behave differently in your life. So this is what I said earlier, like you get to choose how you feel. The thing is, none of us were taught how to intentionally choose how we want to feel. But remember this, self-sabotage, everything that we've just talked about there, is a short-term payoff for a long-term price. And it is interfering with your big goals. Okay, so procrastination, basically putting off your goals. That's basically what it is. And it stems from usually a collection, a little belief system, a collection of beliefs that you're indulging. For example, I might fail. I'm not capable. I can't. I won't get the results that I want. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. The world is against me. On and on I can go. All of that is a sign of a mismanaged mind. That's what it is. It's a sign of a mismanaged mind. And the cause is you have a program or a narrative, a story that isn't serving you, that you aren't challenging. Okay, so when you can actually dig up all this stuff, the programs, the stories, the narratives, the belief systems that's holding this in place, this escape loop, then you can step back and out. And you can be like, huh, oh yeah, that is true. That is what I've been thinking and feeling, and that's the memories that pop up. It's not helpful, right? It's not making my life a party. It's certainly not helping me reach my desired outcome. And so you can choose to put that down and to think and feel differently. And that's the work I do. Okay, so what causes self-sabotaging behavior? It's typically a past focus, right? It's a past focus. You're using your past to set goals. Your past does not equal your future. When I learned this, I was just like mind blown. Like it's really freeing when you think about it. It's like, oh, I get to define and create my future in any way that I want to. It's not defined by what my past experience have been. So when you do this, when you do allow your past to predict your future, you're basically affirming your past identity. You're thinking from your past identity. And obviously you then get the same results. So when we indulge in our programs, we stop setting goals and we start wishing things could be better. So then we go into, rather than a state of optimism, we go into wishful thinking. And then the disappointment and the heartbreak sets in when we don't meet our goals. That's not fun. So a lot of suffering comes from the belief that we need to find a way to always be cozy and comfortable with everything. But we need to commit to doing the things that will get us what we really want. And I kind of feel like we need to be emotionally mature because something I've noticed in myself personally and with my clients is that we have a tendency to be a bit childlike about this sometimes. I want it and I want it now, kind of thing. It's not fair. She's got it, I don't. We need to be emotionally mature. These are the things I'm going to do to create the life that I want. I love that thought. These are the things I'm going to do to create the life I want. Just really matter of fact, stay in your lane. Procrastination, it only extends your discomfort. It really does. So you have the feeling of, oh God, I'm here procrastinating again. I'm doing all this busy work. That's a classic sign of procrastinating. So a lot of people think procrastinating is just going watching TV and eating chocolate cake, but procrastinating can also be when you're doing busy work and you're playing with on Canva and you're creating images and funnels and you give yourself a pat on the back because you've been so busy, but it's kind of just nothing that's going to move the needle forward in your business. So you have that feeling of procrastination and you don't have the results that you want. So yeah, it's discomfort either way. We avoid decisions because we don't want to take the actions that come from making the decisions. So you can choose the discomfort of staying stuck or the discomfort of taking risks to go after your dreams. It's kind of discomfort either way. And this is the lie we tell ourselves. I'm avoiding the discomfort of taking action. But now you're in the discomfort of procrastination. So when you find yourself thinking, oh, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to post on social media. I don't want to build an online presence. I don't want to increase my prices, whatever it is, ask yourself this question. How can I help myself feel like doing it? How can I help myself love marketing? How can I help myself love selling? How can I help myself love stepping up in front of an audience at a networking event? Whatever it is, ask yourself, how would I like to feel to be able to take this action? And most of my clients come up with words like, well, I want to feel really inspired, motivated, creative. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So that you choose that feeling. Okay, so how do you then create that emotion in your body? Well, you've got to fill it up. You've got to drum up that emotion by thinking a thought. So then you go thought shopping. What thought do you need to think to feel motivated, inspired, ambitious, calm, content, whatever it is? Be aware though that your subconscious brain, which is like the powerhouse in your head, in your brain, has three main jobs. Okay, so when I learned about this, it was such a relief to know that my brain is actually desired to be kind of unhelpful in a lot of ways when you're working as an entrepreneur. Its three main jobs is to avoid pain or fear, seek pleasure, and to conserve energy, be efficient. So, not making decisions, it often feels like efficiency. You've got to check in with that. Are you moving forward with your life? Because when you want to make a big decision that might require like thinking about like pros and cons, what does my body feel, my intuition, all of that requires effort, right? And your brain's going to be like, this is not worth it. Let's just be more efficient and pull you back into your familiar habitual thinking, feeling, and responding. That's what will happen every time. Anytime you do mindset work in terms of creating new thoughts, purposefully, intentionally choosing an emotion to drum up in your body to take a different action, all of that is effortful. And your subconscious brain isn't going to be a fan of that. And that's why a lot of people don't do this work and they stay in their familiar ways of thinking, feeling, and responding because your brain is trying to be efficient. It's also trying to avoid pain and fear, which is definitely going to come up when you're a business owner, and to seek pleasure. So it's looking for the path of least resistance every time. But everything about making decisions starts with consciousness. Okay, it's deciding what you want to change in your life and being really crystal clear about that. And it's fascinating because often that's one of the hardest parts. When women come to me, I'm like, okay, what do you want to work on? Like, what's your big desired outcome? And they're like, huh, well, I'd quite like to have, enough money to travel and to buy a nice house and, to, take time off when I want and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that look like? How many hours do you want to work? Who do you want to work with? Like, where do you want to work? Do you want to work online? Do you want to work in person? And the clearer you get, the better. So think about that question. Really simple. What do I want? Equally valuable is to consider the opposite question. What is it that I don't want? Okay. Maybe you don't want to be working with people at all and you want to be an artist and paint in your studio. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you want to be a motivational speaker and speak in front of audiences. Maybe you want to work one to one. Get clear on what it is that you want. So you can't and shouldn't make big decisions in the moment because you will default to efficiency. Okay, so that's really important. Going back to that brain slide, your brain will always keep you in your comfort zone because it's safe. Okay, and your primitive brain is designed to keep you alive and keep you safe. So you can't and shouldn't make big decisions in the moment because your brain's always going to go, what are you doing? No, this is too much money, too much time, too much energy. If you want to become a decision-making ninja, start learning to make decisions from your prefrontal cortex ahead of time. Okay, so super creators, really successful business people, they don't make decisions in the moment and they don't wait to feel like it either. They commit ahead of time. So this just makes me think of like athletes and bodybuilders and people who are extremely committed to their diet and their exercise regime. There's no way you'll see an athlete or a bodybuilder walking around the supermarket at 6 o'clock in the evening, just like putting everything into their trolley because they're starving. They just want to get home for dinner. I mean, not that I'm an athlete or a bodybuilder, but I imagine on a Sunday they spend a large proportion of their day planning ahead for what they're going to eat. They'll probably have meal prepped all their meals for the week. They'll have their gym schedule all sorted. So it's all planned for ahead of time. So they just show up. They get up in the morning, straight to the gym. Change is not going to happen in the moment. Your subconscious brain just will not allow for it. It's always going to default. Nope, don't feel like doing this. Every single time, your brain's going to take that path of least resistance. That's why it's so hard for people who want to lose weight to stick to going to the gym and stick to diets. It takes a while to train your brain that this new way of thinking, feeling, and responding is going to serve you better. Okay, anything that feels effortful, like going to the gym, like eating healthy food, like putting yourself out there on social media, anything your brain's going to have resistance to. Okay, so as you know, I'm a step-by-step girl. I'm like, tell me the how. How to make decisions. Use your conscious brain, not your subconscious. Use your conscious brain, your prefrontal cortex, to make decisions ahead of time. Okay, so this is what I want to do in my business. This is the decision I'm going to make that happen. Then you want to fire it up with emotion. So you really want to feel into this. You really want to drum up that emotion. So, for example, I really want to, start being more consistent on my Facebook page, for example, or I want to start doing Facebook Lives or something like that. Okay, I'm going to make the decision ahead of time. I'm going to plan in my schedule. This is when I'm going to batch my content. I'm going to send it to my VA. She's going to put it in, whatever. Or this is when I'm going to do my Facebook Live. How do I want to feel about that? I cannot wait to meet the women who want to work with me. This is exactly what I do. So I fire it up with that excitement. I can't wait to see who I'm going to work with next. This is such a privilege. I can't wait to put my post out there, my video out there, my masterclass out there. Like, who do I get to meet next? Who do I get to help? It's exciting. And then it's just repetition, good old repetition. Repetition is the key to mastery, but plan and commit, decide ahead of time. Okay, that this is so crucial. So you're telling, by doing all of that, you're basically telling your subconscious brain, I've decided this is who I am, right? I'm the kind of girl who gets everything she wants. I'm the kind of girl who gets up before the kids get up and does my journaling. I'm the kind of girl who goes to the gym at least 4 times a week. I'm the kind of girl who eats really healthy food. Whatever it is, tell your brain, this is who I am now. This is how I'm going to show up in the world, and I'm celebrating the results ahead of time. I can't wait to celebrate the results. I'm just going to do it now. So you celebrate the results ahead of time. You feel into that gratitude. Gratitude is, I know it's talked about a lot, but it is one of the strongest and easiest ways to amplify your results and to get your results the quickest. And you can do that really easily. I think a lot of us, we take our health for granted. We take our kids for granted, our husbands, the fact we've got a roof over our head, a fridge full of food. You can easily find little ways to really shift into feeling gratitude. So it's about repetition, practice, and it is a practice because I think with a lot of this work, people expect a little kind of quick fix. I'm like, this is a skill you have to learn. How long did it take you to learn to drive a car or ride a bike? Like you have to practice and you have to learn to commit to it and to kind of get your reps in. The elevated emotion is so crucial. It's not enough just to, sort of feel neutral. You really want to drum up a sense of excitement, joy, gratitude, passion, creativity. And there's ways to do that. There's ways to access those emotions. Awareness is everything. It's the foundational piece to create change. So stepping back and out, like almost like having an outer body experience to really be in that observer or witness space. Like, oh, I'm noticing my brain is offering me the thought of, you're not good enough. No one's going to buy your stuff. What if people judge you? All the things. And I'm noticing, I'm feeling fear right now. My heart rate's increasing. It feels like a wave rushing over me. It feels hot. It feels fast. My palms are sweating. Like, really become aware. And it's about your level of commitment to making decisions ahead of time. And I love this last piece. Decide on a decision deadline and stick to it. So just tell yourself, I've got until the end of today to make a decision on that, and hold yourself to it. Set a deadline. I love time-bound tasks. This is also really interesting, the power of redeciding. So ask yourself in all areas of your life, would I choose this again? Would I choose this life? Would I choose to have children? Would I choose this husband? Would I choose this career? Would I choose this house to live in, this city to live in? And if the answer is no, change it. I'm not asking you to go and run off on your own and leave your kids and your husband alone, but it's a good exercise to like evaluate where you are in life. If the answer is yes, commit to thinking and feeling again in alignment with it. It's a really nice exercise to do because anything that's important to you in your life, you should be redeciding on regularly. Again, that really helps shift you into a state of gratitude and also tells your brain, see, I can do this. I can create a life I love. You always want to feed your brain with evidence because that's what it's looking for anyway. It's all that reticular activating system, that piece of brain is always searching and scouring for evidence to back up thoughts that you're thinking. So if you're constantly thinking in scarcity and lack, oh God, I've got no money, I've got no time, I've got no this, that, the other, guess what? Your brain's going to feed you with. Okay, so I want you to assume that you can change anything and everything, and you have choice in everything, and you can redecide everything. It's really freeing when you're in that space. And then I want to talk about right and wrong, because I genuinely believe there's no such thing as right and wrong decisions. I think that's a mental construct and a paradigm that we're living in, because what if we took right and wrong from making decisions out of it? There just wasn't a right or wrong decision. There was just a decision. What if you believed that you could be happy either way? Because I think you can, because happiness is a feeling, it's an emotion that comes from the way we think. It doesn't come from the decision that you make. It comes from the way that you think about the decision you make. So you can make any decision and you can make it right and you can make it work for you and you can choose to be happy with it. So there's no more like pressure on yourself, got to make the right decision. There's no more right, wrong, or perfect. There's just, yeah, I'm making a decision to move forward in my life and I get to choose if I'm going to be happy about that or not. And I just think this is so true. The fastest way to change your life is to start making decisions. So yeah, like I said earlier, successful people, and however you want to define success, they definitely make more decisions than people who are not successful. That's absolutely true. Happy, successful people make more decisions, not necessarily more right decisions. They make cumulatively more decisions. So I would love to now talk to you a little bit about working with me. The obvious question is stay where you are, option one, or option two, come work with me and take a quantum leap into a new state of being. So I would love to personally invite you to join Success Becomes Her. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what that is. The kind of basic nuts and bolts of my entire program is shifting your mindset from past focus to future focus. We want to embody new beliefs. So we're going to disembody old beliefs that have been holding you in that escape loop. And we're going to embody new beliefs so that you can really live into this new identity. A big part of this program is about self-regulation in terms of emotional regulation and processing your feelings healthily so that when fear does show up and overwhelm and sadness, all of that stuff, you don't suppress it and you allow it to be there and you let it move through you. Another piece of the program is using your imagination to help create exactly what it is that you want. It's such an untapped resource that we all have. Athletes use it a lot with pre-performance routines and visual kind of rehearsal of that. But as entrepreneurs, we're not nearly spending enough time visualizing our dream goals. So it is a 12-week program, but by the end, you'll feel like unshakable confidence, empowered, resilient, and optimistic, which means you'll be able to focus more on attracting your dream clients. So what I've really realized is that when you have this sense of inner safety with all of those ingredients, then you don't have that worry of people judging you. You don't have that worry of if you're going to fail and what that means. You're just excited to put yourself out there and to build a life that you love. And when you're in those kinds of elevated emotions, you naturally attract the perfect people who you want to work with. So we also do a bit of work on stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I'm all about trying to create like a state of ease, flow, excitement, and joy. It's a lightness. It's kind of a light energy, which, like I said earlier, yeah, you'll be able to put yourself out there, increase your visibility, charge rates that feel exciting to you. My goodness, we are so, us women, we undercharge. We absolutely undercharge compared to men, I think. Because we don't feel comfortable with receiving money and we have a stigma attached to pricing our services. You'll also be able to face and manage any challenge that comes your way because let's be realistic, life is going to throw its curveballs, and especially when you're in business, it's going to bring up all the things. So when you're able to manage your thoughts and feelings in this way that I'm going to teach you, it means you'll be able to turn obstacles that come up in your business into strategies. So that's what often holds people back in procrastination. They have an idea of what they want to create, but they're like, well, I'm here and that's there, and I just can't even see how I'm going to figure out how to get there. I'm like, okay, well, if we kind of like prepare for any obstacle that might come up, then we can convert it into strategies. You'll definitely be more present rather than constantly thinking of your to-do list and how you're going to scale your business. So this was a big win for me that I didn't expect when I went through this course before I was trained in delivering it. Um, I was one of those mums that, I'd be bathing my baby, mentally rehearsing an email or social media post that I needed to get out, constantly having kids at me asking for a snack while sneakily trying to, respond to a client on my phone. And I really wasn't a present mum when my kids were really, really small. And now, because I'm so much more aware of my space, my thoughts, my feelings, my the way I respond to people, it's been quite a magical gift actually in terms of how I've reconnected with being a mother. So that's another win. And you'll definitely gain clarity and focus so that you can stop doing all the things and then feeling like you're spinning. That was another big thing for me as well. There's three main parts of the program. There's clearing and healing, awakening and aligning, and inspired action. So the first stage is all the clearing and healing. It's where we basically open that can of worms and we get to the root cause of why you feel stuck and you're in your escape loop. And we work on taking ownership over your thoughts, feelings, actions, and words, and building a solid sense of safety. So there's a few different change patterns in that one, but it's all geared towards building this solid sense of inner safety so that you don't need to engage in the self-sabotaging loop in order to have that full sense of safety, which comes from trying to cling on to control. And when you're there, it's like those horses with the blinkers, like, so they don't get scared of traffic, like the blinkers come off and you see your eyes open to infinite possibilities. So then we move on to the second stage, and this is really aligning with a new way of being so that you can maintain that elevated state that attracts the results that you want. So in this stage, it's all about surrendering more and more to trust and letting go. So you don't have to control the outcome or operate from sheer force and willpower. So this was huge for me because my escape was like that hustle energy and I must be doing all the time. And it took me a lot of practice to really start letting go and surrendering. And by the way, I've just binged on a book which you have to read called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And it's just an incredible story of his life and what's unfolded when he's intentionally surrendered. And it's just utterly mind-blowing what he's created in his life. So definitely read that. And then the last stage is taking inspired action. So this is where you deeply get to connect with your intuition and you listen to those nudges and messages and insights that guide you to take inspired action. So not just follow this blueprint because I said so, but from a place of ease and flow, because there's not one right way to build your business. There's a million different ways to build your business. It's about being open to those little insights that you get and exploring them, right? Detached from the outcome. See what works, see what doesn't. So I've got the best clients. I really do. Like, talk about attracting the woman that you love. And these are just a few of the testimonials that I've had in the past. So you'll get lifetime access to these change patterns, which I will coach you through during our coaching sessions, but I've also recorded them as little sort of recorded audios, and that's the homework. So this is not a self-study course. This is very much an experiential course, but there is that piece there where you want to listen to the audios as much as possible to really solidify and integrate it into your daily life. There's a couple of tasks and resources, but like I said, it's not a massive self-study course. It's the bulk of the work is actually solidifying what we learn in the coaching sessions. So my fees were meant to go up to £4,500, but I kind of forgot to change it for this presentation. So they're still at £3,500 for the 12 weeks. And there is a payment plan to help people. You can pay over 6 months or 3 months, or the pay in full is £3,500. And I currently have two 2 spots available for one-to-one. I only take on 4 to 5 women at a time. So just to remind you of why you're here, it's time to move beyond the superficial and connect you with your infinite potential. And the women I work with have that sort of knowing, that deep knowing and desire to be there. And it's time to share your gifts with the world, whatever that is for you, because your people are out there right now waiting for you to make yourself visible and known. And it's time to let go of all the societal norms and limiting beliefs that have shaped your narrative and start writing a new one that your future self can't wait for you to start embodying. So yeah, if you want to sign up, and you can message me on Facebook, DM me, email me. There's a little fast action here. What's that one? I can't even remember putting that in. Oh, that's for the group. Yes, so I do run this program as a group as well, but that won't be starting till September. So ignore this one for now. I'll be doing another masterclass with more information about the group starting in September. And if anybody has any questions, absolutely feel free to reach out to me. If you're on the fence and would like a chat, you can message me on Facebook or Instagram, book in a connection call, and we can have a chat. And if you want to email me, it's what is it? info@gemmagilmore.com. I'd be happy to have a chat with you. Okay, thank you so much for watching this presentation. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.